All right, take 3. I keep hitting my power button and it's putting my computer to sleep, and I am having to start this over every time. So let me get myself situated here and try this one more time. We're on the 3rd take here. All right, so we're going to talk about angle relationships today. This page doesn't look exactly like the front of your handout. Your handout just has this right here on it. It says U4cL4, that's Unit 4C, Lesson 4, Angle Relationships, Desmos handout. I've added some things to this in order to be able to go through it with you today, okay? Some vocabulary that I wanted you to be really, that's just critical for this, is I put it all right here, but I also made you a handout here that also has this, and I'll have that in Google Classroom for you as well. But let's just look at some of this vocabulary. We know what an angle is, but an angle is 2 rays that have a common endpoint. That is called a vertex, okay? And we could go ahead and let's just say when naming. So if I wanted to name this angle A, B, C, if I wanted to write that and label, it would be angle using, that's the angle notation, A, B, C. We could also call it angle C, B, A. But the vertex is always the middle letter. So you would read it A, B, C, or C, B, A. Okay? That's just when naming angles or reading. When naming or reading angles. When naming or reading angles. All right? We know what a right angle is. We've talked about all of that. Some of this vocabulary down here, acute angles we know are less than 90. Obtuse are more than 90. Right angles are 90 degrees. This is the vocabulary right here on these 2 pages that are critical to this lesson, because we're going to be talking about complementary angles. So complementary, supplementary, adjacent, vertical, and congruent. Congruent angles are twins. Congruent angles are twins. They are identical. Congruent angles are twins. They are identical. They look the same. They have the same measure. You can look at them and see they are identical. Okay? We're going to talk more about vertical angles. Adjacent angles, I wanted you to just have a visual here. They share a vertex and a common side. So if you see here, if we look at this and we name these 2 angles, we have angle AOB. And down here we have angle BOD. Angle BOD. Those are 2 separate angles, but they share a vertex. And if you notice in the writing of those angles, the middle letter is the same. They share a vertex, but they have different legs or arms, and then they have one side that is the same. They have one side, so this side right here, that ray OB, is, they share that, and those are called adjacent angles. They sit right beside each other. Complementary angles have a sum of 90 degrees. Supplementary angles have a sum of 180. And we're going to get into more than that in this lesson, but I just kind of wanted you to have a little bit of background on what those 2 types of angles are. So the first thing we're going to talk about are vertical angles. Okay? Some of the words that I think help the most across, two angles that are across. Across is probably the most significant word when trying to find a vertical angle. They're across from each other. So if you look at this 140 right here, the angle that is straight across from it is 140. But the thing I want you to look at the most is the fact that they're both obtuse angles. They both, I mean, you can look at those two angles and see they are identical. 133, the angle that's right across from it is this X, and it would also be 133 degrees. Vertical angles are across from each other, and they're always congruent. And remember, congruent is equal. Congruent is the same. Congruent is twins. Congruent is identical. Okay? I'm trying to write a little bit lighter on my iPad too. So looking at these vertical angles, when two lines intersect, the angles that lie on opposite sides of the intersection point are called vertical angles. For example, angle ADE, and this, I don't know why they didn't put the E right here, but that's supposed to be an E. So angle ADE and angle CEB are vertical angles. Angle ADE and angle C. And also when naming angles, so we have AED, the vertex is in the middle, and this is angle CEB. Okay? Those are vertical angles. They're this angle and this angle. They're right across from each other. Adjacent angles are angles that have a common vertex and they have a common vertex and they share a side. So you can see here the angle ABD, and angle CBD. Those two angles, they're sitting right beside each other, and they have that this common vertex right here. BD is the common side is, let's write that out because my brain, they have a common vertex of B. And we'll say share side. Share. Why is that right? Weird. They share side BD. Okay. Name two pairs of adjacent angles. Well, right here, angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. They're sitting right beside each other. We'll name them all. Angle 2 and angle 3. Angle 2 and angle 3 are adjacent angles. Angle 3 and angle 4. And angle 1 and angle 4. Those are all adjacent angles. All right. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Complementary angles, they can be adjacent. This is adjacent. Okay, my brain just always... These are adjacent complementary angles because they have that common side and that common vertex. These are non-adjacent. These are non-adjacent complementary angles, okay? But they have to have 90 degrees. One way that I like to remember complementary is if you take the C and the O. C-O-M-P. Take the C and the O, turn that C into a 9, and that O right there, look at there, complementary. That tells you that it's 90 degrees. Okay? So if we have these two angles, we have angle L, we have LKJ is 34 degrees. And we want to know what is the measure of angle X over here on GHI. What is this angle right here? Well, if this is 34, we would take 90 minus 34. And I didn't bring my calculator in here with me. So I'm going to do it mentally, so bear with me a minute. 30 would be 60, 56. So this would be, so angle X is equal to 56 degrees. And if you add 34 and 56, you will get 90 degrees. All right, so this means that we're not going to do this page, but I just wanted you to underline a couple of things. Two complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. That's what you got to know. Supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. Supplementary angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. And the biggest thing with supplementary angles is you're going to draw that arc. Supplementary angles are going to give you a straight angle. Okay? And we know that a straight angle looks like this. All right? Now you can have adjacent and non-adjacent supplementary, but most all of yours are going to be adjacent. But the biggest thing with supplementary angles that I want you to do, if you will do this, you will not struggle with this. Put your pen, so it wants to know this, put your pencil up right here and draw this arc. Draw your arc, because that means that this question mark plus this 121 has to equal 180. This question mark plus 121 has to equal 180. Well, then what does that mean we're going to do? That means we're going to take 180 degrees and we're going to subtract 121 from it. Now, you're going to be putting that in your calculator, but I don't have mine right here in front of me. And I'm scared to use, well, I got my phone. Hold on. I got my phone right here. Let me use it. So, 180 minus 121 is going to give us 59 degrees. And that makes sense because if you look at these two angles, this angle right here, angle DBC, right here, is an obtuse angle. It's going to be more than 90. This angle right here, ABD, that's an acute angle. Look at that one. It's little. Supplementary angles, I will tell you this, supplementary angles, you will have one obtuse and one acute, always. Unless they are both right angles. So basically what you're going to have is, and I'm going to use this spot right over here, you're going to have something that looks like this. We have an obtuse and an acute. Or you might have something, I'm going to draw a different color. Or you might have something that looks like this. Again, you have an obtuse and one acute. But you could have this where they're both 90. And it's going to get a little more detailed as we move forward. And you'll see what I mean. All right. Okay, so checking for understanding. Oh, it's asking you about angle A and B. So angle A and angle B. Angle A and angle B. Well, look right here. They are definitely vertical. They're not adjacent because they don't sit beside each other. They're not complementary and they're not supplementary. They're only vertical. Right here, angle A and angle B. If I put my pencil on angle A, I can draw that arc right there, connecting those two angles. So when I can do that, that tells me I have supplementary angles. They are sitting right beside each other, so they are adjacent. I just want to make sure I'm still recording. Okay, I guess that tells me up there that I am. All right. So angle A and angle B right here. This is, if this is 90 right here, then all of this has to be 90. So if that's the case, then angle A and angle B right here are going to be together 90, all right? So that's where up here with supplementary, we're drawing this arc. With 90, with complementary, we're going to be drawing our corner. So if you can draw that corner, then you have complementary angles. They equal 90 degrees and they are adjacent to each other. On this one, there's nothing that tells me that this is a right angle. There's nothing that tells me this is a right angle. Right here, this line right here lets me know I have 180 degrees. I know that a straight line is 180 degrees, so I can build off of that. This box that was given to me right here tells me that's 90 degrees, and I can build off of that. I have nothing right here to tell me. I don't have anything to build off of. I don't have a straight line. I don't have a box telling me it's 90. There's no 90-degree angle there. So all I have there are adjacent angles. Even though that might look like it's pretty close to being a right angle, and it's pretty close to being, we cannot assume. We make no. Make no assumptions. You cannot assume in geometry. You have to be able to prove it all. Here I can prove it with that 180. Here I could prove it with this 90. I have nothing to support a proof on that one. So all I have there are adjacent angles. So on here, angle A and angle B are adjacent and complementary. They're complementary, and the way that I know that is that box right there tells me. If you don't see that box, there's no box up here. There's no box. If you see that box, then you know it's 90 degrees. That is your given. So your corner tells you that you have 90 degrees. All right, so this next slide we're not doing. Well, I'm not doing it. And we're going to keep moving. So now we're going to estimate what do we think these two angles would be. So it's asking for us for the measure of angle ABC. So first we want to look at angle ABC, which is this. We're estimating it. All right. So I brought our pieces in just to kind of see, but looking at that, we could probably estimate it at around 90 degrees. It looks like it's 90 degrees. It's asking us for an estimate, so it's okay to kind of make that assumption. All right. I don't know if this is going to work, but I pulled these pieces in because I thought that it would be, no, I pulled these pieces in because I thought it would be a way for you to kind of get that visual. But this piece, so angle A, I'm going to give me another color. I want to get, let's see, angle ABD. So angle A is asking for this one right here. ABD. I think it's going to be pretty close to that 1/6 piece. So we're going to call that about 60 degrees. It's going to have to be a little less than 60 if we say that this side is close to our 1/10 piece. Okay, I'm just looking at these pieces. 1/8 is going to be a little bit too big. The 1/10 piece looks like it's pretty close, and it's 36. So 36 and 60 is over 90 degrees. So let's just estimate let's estimate this one at 60 degrees and estimate the other one at 30 degrees. And that gives us the 90 degrees. And they're just asking us for an estimate. So we were just kind of looking. But that's where those pieces would come in. Now let's look. So now they're telling us. Look, there's your corner. Now you know that A, B, C is 90. Now we know because they gave us that corner right there. We know it's 90. They've also told us that CBD right here is 33. So what does that mean? That means that this 33 plus whatever this angle is going to equal 90 degrees. Those two angles equal 90 degrees. They are complementary. They're complementary angles because this angle plus, so we've got 33 plus the angle we don't know is going to equal 90 degrees. So how do we find that? We take 90 minus 33 and we get 57. So this angle right here's actual measure is 57 degrees, and we can figure that out because of what we know about complementary angles. All right. So we can do the same thing right here with these and estimate angle ABC. Angle ABC right here. We know that's 180 degrees. We know that. angle ABD. ABD. I thought that 1/3 piece was pretty close. And the 1/3 piece is, what is that, 33? Oh, it's 120. So this was this piece right here equals 120 degrees. So we could estimate this at about 120 degrees, which would make this other one about 60 degrees. About 60 degrees. So we're just estimating that. And that was just kind of get you thinking about it. And I thought pulling those pieces in would, we know that's 120 degrees there. We know this one equals 60. We know this one equals 36. And 1/8 was 45. So that's how those pieces are going to help you with that. All right. So now let's look at what it's telling us. Now it's asking us, what is the measure of ABC? Well, the measure of ABC, we know that's a straight angle, so that's 180 degrees, period. They're telling us that this angle is 125 degrees, and it wants to know the other one. Well, here's where we're going to draw our semicircle. We're going to draw that semicircle. And look, I'm going to write 3 words. Oops. We have a semicircle on a straight line or a straight angle. That means they are supplementary, which means it's 180 degrees. If you draw that semicircle on a straight line, it is supplementary. So what does that mean? That means that this angle that we don't know right here plus this 125 degrees equals 180 degrees. So what do we have? We have our angle we don't know plus 125 degrees is going to equal 180 degrees. How do we find that? We subtract 125 minus 180 minus 125. And we get 55 degrees. Okay? So pause it, go back, look at it, whatever you need to do. All right, of course, we're skipping this slide. Just pretend I'm not here. Now let's check for some understanding. What type of angles are shown in this? So, oops, sorry. Did that make it easy? All right, what type of angles? Find the measure of angle B. Well, you're either going to, so you're going to do one of 3 things. Here's the 3 things you're going to do. We're going to draw, are they across? So what am I doing? Am I drawing, am I going straight across? Am I drawing a corner, or do I have a semicircle? Well, I'm going straight across. Straight across means they are vertical. A corner means they are complementary. A semicircle means they are supplementary. Complementary is 90, supplementary is 180, vertical is equal. Equal, okay? These are vertical angles, and it wants to know what's the measure of angle B. We know that vertical angles are equal to each other, so angle B is equal to 43 degrees also. Okay? On this one, it wants to know angle B. Well, looky here. Here's our corner. It's giving us a corner. If it gives us a corner, we're doing a corner is complementary angles. That means that my 29 plus that B, these two added together are going to equal 90 degrees. So those added together give me 90 degrees. So B is going to be 70. Those are complementary angles, but they are also adjacent. They are adjacent complementary because they sit right beside each other. So now it wants to know angle 7 and 8. All right, it says, sometimes you're going to be given the information with with a corner. Sometimes you'll be given your information like with a corner, but then sometimes it might tell you something like this. Angles 7 and 8 are complementary. That means that those two angles together equal 90 degrees. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 8. So this angle and this angle are congruent. And angle 6 is 29. So what is the measure of angle 7 and 5? If angle 5, this means congruent. They're congruent. So angle 5 and angle 8 are the same. So we want to know what is angle 7. Well, let's find angle 5 first, because we know 7 and 8 together equal 90. And if I do this right here real big, watch this. If I do this right here real big, not that. If I do this, that tells me that angle 5 plus angle 6 plus angle 7 plus angle 8 equals 180 degrees. I know that 7 and 8 together, they equal 90. I know that 6 is 29. I don't know, I'm going to just use X. I don't know angle 5, but I know all of that is going to equal 180. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to do 180 minus 90 minus 29. And I'm going to just subtract them. I ain't going to do it like that though. I'm going to do it like this. 180 minus 90 minus 29. And whatever I get is going to be angle 5. So angle 5, 180 minus 90 minus 29 is 61. So this one right here is 61 degrees. And if that one's 61, it told us that angle 8 and angle 5 are the same. So this one is 61 degrees, which means that this angle 7, 90 minus 61, is going to be 29. Angle 7 is also 29 degrees. So we found angle 5 and angle 7 by using everything they gave us in that little bitty problem right there. This little bitty problem right here gave us everything we needed. Okay, so you may need to go back through and re-watch me do that whole thing again. Okay? John does not know why both of these images represent complementary angles. Well, this one plus this one equals 90. And this 65 plus 25 equals 90. They both have a sum of 90 degrees. This is non-adjacent. These are adjacent. So, here angle A is 23 degrees. So, angle A is 23 degrees. What can we say about the other angles? Angle B and C. Well, here's what we can do. First thing we can do is angle A. Look at here. Angle A and angle B are complementary. Angle A and angle B are, supplementary. Are supplementary. Angle A and angle B are supplementary. So they're going to equal, the sum is going to be 180. So angle A is 23 plus angle B is going to be 180 degrees. So angle B is going to equal 180 minus 23. Which is 157. Which is, that is not right. Well, it has to be. Well, this is a good example. Angle A is 23 degrees. Does angle A look like it's 23 degrees? It don't. It does not look like it's 23 degrees because it's an obtuse angle. And this is a Desmos activity, so it's probably going to have you moving this. I just didn't have you do it on the computer. But I don't care what it looks like in the picture. You got to go with what it tells you. And you sitting here going, that don't even make sense because it's an obtuse angle and he's telling me it's 23 degrees. Oh, well. If it tells you it's 23 degrees, it's 23 degrees. The other angle's got to be 157. It has to be because they're supplementary. Now, these red dots right here, this is probably where doing the Desmos without the Desmos is probably not a good idea because these little dots right here, probably what it's going to have you doing is moving this to get it lined up and then it's going to tell you the angle measure and you weren't figuring it, but we're figuring it because we are doing this like this. So based off of what we know about supplementary angles and what we were given, if angle A is 23 degrees, angle B has to be 157. Angle B and C are vertical. I can't spell. B and C are vertical angles. They are going to be congruent. So if angle B is 157, then angle C has to be 157 degrees. Again, those lines would have probably moved if we'd have been doing this with the Desmos. And I can send you the link and let you play around with it and see what I'm talking about. All right, so we are going to scratch this page because I do think, yeah, I'm not doing that one either. We're not doing that one either. And we're not doing that one. We're going to skip. So we're skipping the next 4 slides. We're skipping slide 24, 25, 26, and 27. So you can just put a big X over those slides. And it's just, it was estimating. It was just some stuff. I wanted to get us down to some practice. So Elena and Dago wrote equations to represent this diagram. Decide which equations you agree with. So she said that X is 35 degrees. And Diego said X plus 35 is 180. So what they're looking at is this right here. That W, we're not doing anything with that W. So they're looking at that 35 and that X. And this ain't, if I draw that semicircle and stop it right there where X stops, we're not doing anything with this right now. We're just looking at what they did. And so if that's the case, then Diego's going to be right because these are supplementary. So Diego says that angle X plus angle 35 is going to equal 180 degrees. All right. And so now it just wants to know what is the value. So if we can do it all, these two slides pretty much go together. So 180 degrees minus 35 degrees. I'm just doing it on the calculator because I don't want to mess up. It's 145 degrees. So X is going to equal 145 degrees. And that makes sense because it looks like 145 degrees, unlike that other one we did a few minutes ago. So Elaine and Diego wrote equations to represent this diagram. Which equations do you agree with? So Elena says that angle 35 plus angle W plus 41 equals 180. Well, let's see. Let's draw our semicircle. If our semicircle, we know that our semicircle is going to hit on a straight line. So it's going to start and stop on the same line. So we start it here, we stop it here, and that's the 35, the W, and the 41. So I do agree with her. Diego says that Diego said that 35 plus W equals 180. We don't agree with him because if you draw that semicircle right there, we start it here on his 35-degree angle. We come here and we stop it right there. That does not do a full semicircle. It doesn't make that full semicircle. It doesn't start and stop on the same line, so it can't be 180 degrees. So that cannot be 180 degrees. And we don't really know what that angle could be. Well, we can figure it out. We can figure it out with Elena's equation. And that's what this next slide's going to ask us to do. So it's asking us to take what Elena said, drawing that semicircle right there. We start and we stop on the same line. So we can say that 35 plus W plus 41 equals 180 degrees because they are supplementary. So I'm going to just do 180 minus 35 minus 41, and that means that W equals 104 degrees. All right, let me see what we got left. All righty. So again, Elena and Diego are writing equations to represent this diagram. Describe which equation you agree with. Elena says that W plus 35 equals 90. Well, let's see. In order for her to say that, we got to see a corner somewhere. So here's our corner. What two angles does our corner encompass? This W and this 35 are included in that corner. So Elena would be right. Diego says 2W plus 35. Well, no, because only from here to here, this is our corner. This is what our corner's doing. Okay, we got that. This is not included in that 90 degrees. These two angles added together equal 90 degrees. This other angle over here is not included in that. So Diego would be wrong again. Poor boy. But, so we take Elena's, I think we did that one right there, yep. We did Elena's W plus 35 equals 90. I'm just going to subtract 35 and W equals 55. So this angle is 55 degrees. We already did that one. Keep on moving. Elena and Diego each wrote another equation. They're just going to keep trying until Diego gets one right. Now, Elena says that 2W plus 35 equals 90. Well, if we're looking for 90, we're looking for a corner. Well, this is the only corner I see right here. We got 2W, so this is my angle. This is my angle. And that angle, look at what this one's got. This one has this one, and this one. All right, so we got to think about, we don't know this one, do we? Or do we? Can we figure out this one? We can, because if you look right here, we got vertical angles right there. This is vertical. So they're equal to each other. So that makes this 35. So W plus 35 plus W equals 90 because they're all part of that corner. So again, Elena is right. And so we have 2W plus 35 equals 90. Now we solve this equation. We subtract 35 from both sides. What do we say that was up here? 55. Divide both sides by 2. So each one of those W's, each one of those W's is 27.5 degrees. All right, did that. All right. Elena and Diego each wrote equations to represent this diagram. Decide which equations you agree with. All right. She says W plus 148. All right, I'm going to have you try that one. And we're going to come back to it. We'll do it as a warm-up or something. What if I told you it's already done? I want you to try this one. And then we're going to stop this right here for today. And then we're going to come back to it. I'll pull these other questions in. I may do a separate video on these apply. So we're doing all the way through. So we're going to stop right here at these apply. All right. Now, if you want to go through and try these, that's fine. That would be great. But once you get to slide 38 right there, we're going to stop right here. So you can put an X over any of the slides that you see that I if I put a beam on the slide, it means we weren't doing it, okay? But you are trying, what does it look like? Number 5. And what is the relationship? Those 2 slides. I want you to just try those 2. And then I will probably do a separate video picking up right here. But I think this is enough for us to practice. And then if you get finished going through this, I have some practice for you. So, all right. Watch it, rewatch it, get your notes, and that gets you started. And that is supplementary, complementary, vertical, adjacent. Make sure you understand all that vocabulary and kind of what we're doing here. Like I said, go back and watch it again. Watch me work them. They're not that hard to do. You just, I think I wrote the best thing to help you is right here. If they're across from each other, they're vertical. If you've got a corner, complementary, semicircles, 90. Another one of my little helpful, this is what you'll see in my posters that I'm going to be hanging up. Supplementary, straight, semicircle, straight, supplementary. Those go together. All right. Okay. Make some notes if you have any questions and let me know. And we will keep moving forward. You will have a assessment over this on Friday. And I will see you Wednesday to keep moving.